most times they are gotten typically by unhealthy behaviors. And these diseases can diminish the quality of our life. That is, it can reduce the quality of our life. For the Yoruba audience, I must say, only din ojo aye kuru, or the way we're supposed to be effective, it will reduce this. These are some of the things non-communicable diseases does. Now, common examples of non-communicable diseases, the ones that we know, and sometimes maybe we do not know, that runs across all the ages. We talk about the cardiovascular diseases, example is stroke, another heart-related disease. We'll talk about the diabetes mellitus, and this is common. I'm sure even the young folks here will understand what diabetes is. Our Yoruba akpeni, it's all sugar. Number 3 here on my list, we have cancer. Also, we have chronic respiratory diseases and mental illnesses. And some of these diseases actually can be managed through our diet and our lifestyle. A lè fi oúnjẹ wa ká fi yí padà. Àti bí a ṣe ń gbé ayé wa, our lifestyle, we can adjust our lifestyle to suit the management of these diseases. Now, we want to get started. Here in our screen, we are seeing a pregnant woman. Nutrition starts right from when a baby is inside the womb, or what we call in utero. Now, nutrition cuts across all stages. A pregnant woman has to be very intentional about nutrition. The child also that is being born, the infant, also across all the ages. Now, to get a good foundation, we need to get a good foundation because what we do with our health, what we eat now, we will get our results later. Youth here, you may say, I don't have any disease. Whatever you are eating now, by the time you're 40, 50, you get your report cards. So, let's start with pregnant women. Number one thing that is very important for our sisters that are pregnant, it's very important that you eat adequately. And when I say adequately, I'm not talking about eating in large quantity. We don't eat for 2 in pregnancy. It's a misconception. We don't eat for 2 and you take 2 portions of food. You probably will be overshooting what your body needs. Eat adequately and at the right time. And also, using the prescribed supplements that are being given written by our medical doctors and our midwives is very important to ensure proper nutrition and also to have a good outcome when we give birth. Ní èdè Yorùbá, ntẹ́yẹ bá jẹ lẹ́yẹ ń gbé fò. Ntí a bá ti jẹ nípò ìlóyún, ntí a máa rí tá bá bímọ nìyẹn. Ẹni tí ò bá jẹun dáadáa, ọmọ ẹ̀ náà kò ní ṣe dáadáa. Ṣùgbọ́n mo gbàgbọ́ pé gbogbo wa jẹun dáadáa. Also, attending ANCs, that's the antenatal. Pregnant women are supposed to attend their ANCs. From there, we'll be able to know people that are predisposed to some issues. But people that stay back will definitely have issues. And some of these issues transpire to having these terrible diseases later in life. Let's take caution, attend our antenatals, and do that joyfully. And also, go to good hospitals that have skilled midwives. Women, we are always at the receiving end. It is not a joy that we go through the 9-month pregnancy and come out without the results. But when you attend a good hospital with skilled midwives, we have good results. Àwọn ìyá wa tí ẹ bá ti rí ọmọ wa tó lóye ká máa tẹ̀ mọ́ wọn létí lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn ìjọba tàbí lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn tí àwọn oníṣẹ́ tó mọṣẹ́ kò ṣe àwọn kan sán gbó o àwọn tó mọṣẹ́ tó máa wà níbẹ̀. Ọlọ́run á ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o. Now, let's move to after the mother has given birth to that child. The child is already an infant. And I want to classify what we call children generally, the infants, the toddlers, and the preschoolers. That's 0 to 4 years. What are the things that are very important at this stage? This stage is very crucial. And what happens at this stage will determine or might determine whether that child will have these diseases later in life or not. And how do we start? The thing is start early. Everybody says start early. I can't hear us. Start early. After the baby is born, The recommendation is the baby is to be put to breast nothing less than 1 hour after delivery. Put baby to breast after 1 hour. Unfortunately, most of our medical experts, we forget this. But as a nutritionist, we put this in mind. In breastfeeding initiation in 1 hour, it has a long way to go in helping the baby. And also, 6-month exclusive breastfeeding, very, very important. We've heard it before. Some people are forgetting, and I'm here to remind us. This thing, breastfeeding, is very key and very important to manage health of the child. We may not see it now, but later on, we'll see it later in life. Also, breastfeeding babies, exclusively breastfed babies, are not to be given water. We don't give water for babies under 6 months. It is inappropriate to give water. Breast milk has enough water to quench the thirst and fill the baby. It's adequate. God has made it adequate. No other concussion. Our grandmothers saying, Yawa, Toma Waba Tibimo, Omo Nilo Agbo, Taban Fomo Alagbo, kidney, liver, edore, Lankan Lekun Ibajesi, Ejo, Eje Kama fún àwọn ọmọ tá bá ṣe bí ní agbo mu. Another series also, oúnjẹ ọmọdé, less than 6 months do not require any other thing than breastfeeding. Now, after 6 months, ọmọ bá ti pé oṣù mẹ́fà, the child needs to give other feeds. That's complementary feeding. The complementary feeding should be adequate. Kò kí n ṣe ògì nìkan ni complementary feeding. Ògì lásán nìkan kọ́ la gbọ́dọ̀ fún àwọn ọmọ wa. We should give them other things. Àwọn local foods, àwọn oúnjẹ táwa gan jẹ, àtọ̀mọ́ bá wọn ṣe bí ẹnu wọn ṣe lè gbà. Bí wọn lè yín, wọn lè chew, wọn lè fẹyín rún, àwọn bá wọn ṣe sí ọ̀nà tó pé wọ́n lè jẹ títí wọn bẹ́ẹ̀. And also, right early, start introducing your children to healthy snacks, especially fruits and vegetables. We can give baby carrots. A 7-month baby can take carrots. How would that baby take carrots? Cut your carrots, steam it with your rice, and press it, put in the mouth. Let them get accustomed to this right early. Once, whatever we introduce our children to early, we determine their dietary behaviors later in life. Also, now, let's move to the school-age children. Our motto, Loilewe, from 5 years old, they're in primary 1, they go with lunch bags, they have foods in their lunch bags. Nutrition is very important under 5 because majority of the part of the brain, most part of the brain are developed at infancy level and a little window before 5 years old. If a child is not performing well in school, we need to ask the mother, how did you feed the child? Was this child breastfed exclusively? If the child was breastfed exclusively, was the child breastfed till 2 years? That's the recommendation of WHO. 2 years to 3 years. The lower limit is 2 years. The upper limit is 3 years. Some of us have done it. We breastfed our children for 24 solid months. It does not kill. We will reap the results. And I encourage everyone also, grandmothers, let's encourage our young children that are giving birth to do so. I pray God will help us in Jesus' name. For children that are going to school, it's very important that nutrient-dense food, lunch packs, not everything is noodles. We should be intentional. Nutrient-dense lunch packs to school and avoid empty calories. Stay clear of all these fizzy drinks. Gbogbo àwọn tamara 15 naira 100 naira kan máa jù sínú lunch pack àwọn ọmọ ó ń ṣe àwọn ọmọ wa ní ìjàmbá. Later in life we start seeing some of those results. I pray we will not find those bad results in our midst. And also let us give healthy snacks. There's something I keep telling people. Instead of you buying an 100 naira biscuit for a child, why not buy granules in that lunch pack? They are healthy. They do more protective work than giving them fries, puff, buns, donuts, and what have you. Now, let's progress. Adolescents, the youths, and the church. There is a whole lot. Now, attention is shifting to the youths. Adolescent nutrition. Because we started seeing some very, very terrible statistics with the youths. Let me share one. Some years ago, maybe 2 years back, some of our team went to Ede camp. That's the orientation camp. And I will tell you shockingly that 60% of the youth corps members were hypertensive. that is 6 in 10 that was examined. They had raised blood pressures already. And I'm sure it didn't start at that point. And those people were less than 30 years. It means they had been eating terribly bad or living a very bad lifestyle. Now they have their results even before 30 years. Now for our adolescents, ensure that you eat breakfast. Breakfast is important. You go to school, you learn. You need breakfast. If you don't eat breakfast, you will notice that your assimilation will be poor. If a teacher writes something, you may be saying it 4 times before you can even get accustomed to what he's teaching. Let's eat breakfast, no matter how little it is, before we go to school. Our mothers, ensure your children eat to school. Breakfast has been shown from research. It gives most of the micronutrients that our body needs. Majority. So let's do due diligence in that regard. Also, if possible, let us reduce or eradicate soft drinks from our children. It does so many harms. We may not be able to say it now, but it's a cumulative thing. Reduce or eradicate soft drinks. Inculcate good dietary behavior. Reward your children with fruits, apple, banana, and name it, than just feeding them or encouraging them with junks. It doesn't pay. They will always have their scorecard when they are 40 or they are 50 years. Also, for the adolescents, for the young girls, I want to stand to encourage us. In the last 1 year, we'll be doing researches on over 2,000 girls, adolescent, school-aged girls, and some of the results were very, very embarrassing. Most of our girls don't prepare their bodies for motherhood, and at the adolescent stage is when we can prepare. If you don't eat properly now, fill up your nutrient store, have enough iron, you may not even be able to conceive. Or if you are the type that eats junk food, and your lipid profile at a very young age is terrible, you may not even be able to conceive. So let's be intentional. Limit all these sugary and salty snacks. We now have very, very interesting statistics in the young ones. You know, when you see a 30-year-old person, 20-something-year-old person having terrible diabetes. I'm not talking about type 1 diabetes, type 2, full-blown. And it's because of these things we've been doing. Salty or all these sugary snacks. Eat vegetables and fruit adequately. Why not visit the fruit seller? Why do we go for the soft drink seller? Young folks, you get why you will get a call card. So, encourage yourself to always patronize healthy snacks, not the ones detrimental to the health. Female adolescents, avoid unhealthy practices. Many young girls skip meals, and the results are not fantastic. Some of them are stunted. Because over time, they have not been eating appropriately. Stop the use of unhealthy and non-nutritive substances. I want to tell us this morning, there's this stuff they sell around, creamer. Those stuffs are not milk. If you want to buy milk, go for the real milk. Some of these things are detrimental today. They look cheap, but they are not good. If you want to eat, buy milk. Don't go for this creamer. I'm not trying to talk down any product, but they are not milk. Even the producers tells us they are not milk. Also, if most of us know it, you see school children, when they leave school, they just enter shop, pick up that nylon. They will tear it and pour it inside gari, shake it, and be drinking it. Just a load of aspartame. We are injuring our body. Over time, accumulated, we start seeing bad results. Also, eat meals at the appropriate time. We'll be talking about the appropriate timing of our meal. Eat meals at the appropriate time, and also you need a healthy snack. Adolescents cannot do breakfast, lunch, dinner alone. Mothers, fathers, they need extra meal to keep up with their metabolic demands. One nílò oúnjẹ, one dàgbà ẹlòmíì àní ọmọ mi lè jẹ agolo ráìsì méjì, ó lè jẹ agolo ráìsì mẹ́ta. Once they are 20, 21, 22, they naturally stop that. So at that stage, they are building their muscles, preparing their nutrient stores. Like for the females, they need to eat adequately and that correctly. Now, let's see some of the risk factors. Risk factors to non-communicable diseases. Àwọn nǹkan tó lè fà Number one, physical inactivity. When I'm saying physical, it does not actually mean someone that is not doing exercise. Some people, if they want to go from here to the junction, they will always look for a bike. They cannot walk. Physical inactivity is one of the risk factors. Unhealthy diet is one of them. Overweight and obesity. If you don't know your BMI here and you are over 25, you may need to know. I came with a scale. If you are interested, see me after the service. We'll just check. We want to see what your your nutrition status looks like. It's very important to know whether you are overweight or you are in the normal range, or even if you are underweight, there are things we can do to help you. And also, risk factors, some of these diseases is raised blood pressure, persistent raised blood pressure that is not curtailed, could open anyone to these diseases. And also hyperglycemia, constant blood sugar that is high and not curtailed. And also lipid profile, hyperlipidemia. That's what we call hyperlipidemia. And also stress is one of the things that leads to all these NCDs. And some of them, we have the modifiable ones. All modifiable ones, all these ones I've spoken about, they are things that we can change. They are modifiable. But there are some risk factors that we can do nothing about. For example, our family history. A family history of people having diabetes, there's nothing you can do. You cannot go and ask them, beat them, or why do you have diabetes? No. We have to be intentional. Say, they can be diabetic, but I cannot. You say, oh, everybody in my family is, we are big, we are on the big side. It could be in the gene. It can be running in the family because people in that family have refused to run. It's running in that family because they have refused to run. They are physically inactive. Also, our ethnic background, our sex and our age can also prone us to some NCDs. How do we manage the modifiable risk factors? Number one, increasing physical activity. Let's keep moving. Let's keep walking. You can park your car somewhere and you want to go around, walk, sweat. And thank God now we have these smart wristwatches that they sell. It can tell you, it can help you to achieve your daily goals. It can inform you, say, I've not had 10,000 steps. Oh, you encourage yourself. So, increase your physical activity, and also, in as much as possible, get within the normal BMI range. And be intentional about it. It works if you are intentional, but if you think it doesn't mean, well, and weight loss programs can help us through exercises to keep our BMI in check, and also calorie restriction. Many of us here, I can say 90% of us here, do not know or may not know what our caloric needs is. What does our body need? The way I am is different from the way you are. Your caloric need may be different from mine because, of course, we have different heights, we have different weights, and also our physical activity is different. So our parameters can be different. And I also want to tell us this: eating meals by the appropriate timing. Eating meals at the appropriate timing. Our breakfast really is a fast. You are fasted from the previous night, and most time it's 12 hours to 13 hours. Now, that is called breakfast. It shouldn't be more 10 a.m. Before 10 a.m., our breakfast should be in our stomach. If not, it's no more breakfast, it's something else. Our lunch should be 1 to 3 p.m. and our dinner should be before 7 p.m. And when you eat early dinner, you kind of rest your organs. You rest your organs. Your kidney also will rest after digestion. But late dinner, 11, 12, 10 p.m., you are still eating, your organs will overwork. And most time, people that eat late dinners wake up tired, because their system ran all through the night. Also, let's incorporate healthy snacking within our allocated calorie allocation. Also, we have WHO recommendation for healthy eating. People around the world are increasingly exposed to foods. Everything is now fast. Gen Z, everybody move, eat, pick food on the road. These are hazardous. You can see a cross on that. Some of the foods we pick up and we eat, they are hazardous to our health. Now, there is a new recommendation that came, I think, late last year by WHO. We have what we call the all 5 category of food. we have what we call the NCD protect, that is non-communicable disease protective food. Foods that will protect you from having these diseases. And also we have food that will expose you, put you at risk. First thing I'm going to consider is the all 5. There are foods that we know, probably we see, but we don't know that we are eating them. I will remind us. Our starchy staples, I will show you some of the pictures now. Vegetables are very good. Fruits, pulses, nuts and seed and animals. So you see, these are all 5 categories. In a day, you should not eat less than 4. That's the implication if you want to have a good score. Because they are being scored. In this NCD protective, there are 9 components there. We have the whole grain, pulses, nut and seed and all of that. We must not eat less than 5 to have a good score. And okay, these are examples of some of the staples, the all 5, and also the protective food. These are things. Look at gure, look at elegede. These are very, very good things that we've forgotten. We can pick them up and look at orange flesh sweet potato. Carrots, they give us vitamin A, protect our health. And also beans and tiger nuts. We see these molars, push it up and down. Instead of buying stuff like that, eat, blend, make milk out of it, we prefer to buy some unhealthy ones that is jeopardizing the health. Now, these are the risky foods. Youth, I want you to look at the screen. Because we are being caught on this web more. Soft drinks. They will prone you to NCDs. Baked grains, baked sweets. I'm still going to give us a whole load of various examples, or probably I share this presentation on many platforms in which you can get them. Other sweets, processed meats, unprocessed meats, deep fries, pop-off, buns, donuts, noodles, and fast foods. And also all these ultra-processed snacks. Pringles, an example. These are things that jeopardize our health. Now, look at the examples. Pizza. I love shawarma. I can eat pizza anytime. I can do anything. You are giving me vegetable and pounded yam. Those ones does not make sense. I want pizza. You are opening up your body to having diseases later in life. Now, I'm going to be sharing this with us, as many as want this slide, so you can go through the examples of pulses, nut and see different examples that we would have. Now, we want to go to the elderly folks now, the elderly ones, and probably the young ones that this can benefit. Management of NCDs, using diets to control hypertension. There's something we call DASH diets. DASH. DASH diet is a dietary approach to stop hypertension, to prevent hypertension and to checkmate hypertension. And what is this DASH diet? It's just a flexible eating pattern or plan. It's balanced and it's heart-friendly. And it helps to put hypertension into check. It helps in lowering our salt intake. We are measuring on sodium, not even salt. There is sodium that is a culprit. And this diet is rich in nutrients. If you follow DASH diet adequately, you may not likely have micronutrient deficiency. I can say it confidently because it caters for all the micronutrients that we have. Also, DASH diets is a kind of diet that contains and emphasizes on fruits and vegetable consumption. The Women program is centered to also help us to, bring in fruits. And one of the reasons why we are sharing this to the old church is this. When we seclude the women, we teach them, we put stuffs into them. The women understand why they have to. When they bring whatever they have learned and brings them home, some daddies will reject it. But now, we are saying it together. So that when we are taught, because we are going to be going in depth in the women program to show us so many things that can help us and bring us to good health. So, a lot of foods cannot be jeopardized in the DASH diet. And at least 400 grams. 400 grams is small, of variety of, we call it 5 servings as nutritionists. Also, all grains. One key component, all grains, very important. When I say all grains, I'm talking of food that have not been overly processed. Foods that their barriers have not been taken away. A typical example is we go to market, we buy our agbado, we buy our jero, we buy our baba. Sometimes some of us incorporate tiger nuts. We want to make it into gure, like fishogi. We will now blend it. We will now sit down and sift it away. We will now take that selgi, the fiber. We will now feed it to our goat, and our goat will be shining. And goats, they don't have heart attack. Why? They feed more on fibers. It mop up their blood vessels. So, I want to put a challenge to us. Let's stop sifting our ogi. Also, components of the foods here, we have nuts and seeds. Nut and seed does a whole lot. Very interesting snack to go along with any time. And they do good thing in helping us to clean up our blood vessels because they have what we call the high density lipoprotein. You may not need to bother yourself about that, but they have these stuffs in them that helps us with our cardio health. They are cardioprotective. They help our health. And also in the DASH diet will not tolerate too much salt. Many of us have grown over time to eat food that are too salty. And that is not life. And it is even getting more in this generation. And it's very alarming. I want to tell you that the beans in the natural form, without even cooking it, the rice, they have sodium in them in very little quantity. Now, we now cook our food. Some of you just put plenty salt inside and you're tasting, potato, and we are killing our hearts. We are killing our hearts, digging our grave with our teeth. So let's start training ourselves to go low on salt. The recommendation is less than 6 grams a day. If you are eating too much salt, start from today and say, I want to be intentional. I'm not going to be taking too much salt. It takes time. Your body adjusts to it. Your taste bud start getting refined. So if you know you have parents, the young ones, students, undergraduates here that are hypertensive or diabetic, now is the time for you to limit your own salt intake because you are also predisposed to it. You have the heredity in you. I pray God will help us to adhere. And also, beware of the overuse of this MSG. I'm sorry, let me mention a brand, Maggi. It contains sodium too. There are other things that we can do. Things we can blend. We'll be teaching the women. And we are not just eating to improve the taste, we are eating to health. When you bring your coriander, you bring your ginger, you bring your onions, we bring celery, dried form, blend them together, make them into powder, incorporate it with our food. They are tasty. And aside being tasty, they are doing something positive in our body. We can do that. Our women, we are going to be teaching us that. Also, in the management of hypertension, we need to stick to low levels of saturated fats and trans fats. When we fry our food, for example, a child is going to school, we want to make plantain probably with the rice. We put our oil, even if it's a good source of oil, like this unsaturated fat, that is the oil preferred that we use in our home. Our agba that has gone through it, we fried. We now carry that oil again. Used to make stew, used to make soup. We are killing ourselves. They are trans fats. By the process of eating, the cis, chemistry students can relate now, the cis form have turned to trans. And that trans fat goes to our blood vessels and to just stay in our blood vessels. And before you know it, you start forming plaques. Before you know it, you start getting narrow. And that's when we see hypertension. And that is why we see more in 25-year-old people. The reason being that they do more of snacks. They eat more of junks. You see some of them early in the morning, they've not eaten anything in their hostel. They will go to where they are selling. I see them a lot on campus. A bottle of Coke and all of that. And that's breakfast. You are writing letter to something bad. Also, salt should be in low level. Sugar and sweets, sweet things should be put into check. And also, for if you are managing hypertension or you are trying to bring down or prevent yourself from having hypertension, you should not be doing caffeinated drinks. Caffeinated drinks. Example is Coke. If you see people that are addicted to Coke, I'm sure we have some of them here. I'm talking of the black Coke. Coke gongo, not Fanta. They will not take Fanta. It's Coke persistently. What is happening to you is what is happening to people that are taking beer. Because you are the part of the brain controlling addiction is being activated. Can we intentionally stop that? Stop taking these things. They are killing the body. Caffeine drinks shoot up the blood pressure and give us terrible outcomes. And also, plenty of whole fruits or grains, fruit and vegetables. And I must say this, fatty fish is good for us. I'm not talking of catfish that were bred synthetically. Fatty fish, eja olora, shower, at least twice a week for somebody that is fighting or preventing hypertension. It's very good because they are rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids and they are nice for our health. Now, if we recap on hypertension, eat variety of fresh and whole foods, eat combination of different foods, staples, vegetables. Let your food have color. Don't eat ashon rice. Put carrots in it. Put cabbage in it. The more the color of your dish, the better. Even if you are cooking asharo, put efirin, put efo green. The more the color, the better. Once it's monotonous, the worse. And also, if you want to snack, prefer healthy vegetables. You say, oh, I love cucumber, but the gum is very irritating. You can eat it with granules. A handful of granules it goes well with cucumber. Also, let's incorporate natural leaves, like green teas. You can even make some of them. Some people do soursop. They boil it and they drink in minimal doses, maybe once a week. We can use green teas, cocoa powder as our beverage, and also select the right form of milk appropriate for our ages. Now, diabetes mellitus. I'm discussing two major ones that are prominent and common, hypertension and diabetes. For diabetics mellitus, probably at the pre-diabetic stage or the full-blown 1 type 2 diabetic, glycemic control is important. That is putting the blood sugar under control. That is the optimal goal of dietitians, to put our sugar under check. And there are many things. Number one thing is, most of us, we do not go and meet the qualified people. We meet those people, one cap fits all. It doesn't work that way. Nutrition is individualized. My dietary needs is quite different from somebody else's own. So meet somebody that is a clinician, that is trained to help manage blood sugar. We know the foods that will not shoot up your blood sugar. We know the ones that will shoot up the blood sugar. We know how to combine both together and the effect it will give. It will not overwork your insulin or make your sugar go so high. So, calorie restriction is important, and you may not be able to do that without an expert. And also, we also can leverage on the common ones that we know. Oats is a very low glycemic food. After eating oats, you check your blood sugar 2 hours postprandial. It doesn't go so alarming, unlike eating bread. Bread is a typical enemy because the glycemic index is quite high. But if you want to eat bread, for example, maybe 2 slices of bread for a diabetic, that bread, if even you are even eating with egg, that egg, we have vegetables in them, like cabbage, kind of shredded into it. They are barriers. Those foods are barriers. That egg with vegetable is a barrier. It will withhold the sugar and control it and put it in check. The sugar will be going small into the bloodstream. Instead of you eating naked ones, that the blood sugar will rise up just sharply. Stick to food that are low and moderate glycemic in it. And also, let's leverage on dietary fiber. If you are managing diabetes, you cannot do without dietary fiber. You cannot do without that. Oh, shaka. We cook our efo. It's not too soft. You eat it like that. You notice that it does wonder. For example, if I have a bucket of water here this morning, and I want to wet this ground, if I look for a big towel, I dip that big towel inside the bucket of water, I will just be going around like this. It will be dropping in bits, isn't it? It will be dropping. Now, if I want to wet, I can also carry the bucket and pour it. It will just go. People that eat dietary fiber are the ones that have the towel. The dietary fiber in your food is like that towel. It will hold the sugar and be using it small, small. But if you eat naked carbs, to just rush to the bloodstream. I pray God will help us to stick to this. General principles of diabetic management can be adhered to, but I must tell you, individuals are different. Let's know that. Exercise. Exercise. It's unfortunate that the young folks are not even exercising. We can incorporate exercise. A minimum of 150 minutes per day. It's not until when you register in a gym. If I'm to be living in this compound, probably I'm living in this church premise, I can decide I'm going to go from this end to this end 10 times. It's good. Count your minutes. You have probably used 15 minutes in a day. Somebody like me, I'm not a too heavy person. I skip. And when I'm doing my fitness days, I go 1,000 skip in less than 30 minutes. 1,000. Skip 1,000. In less than 30 minutes. It is not too big. We can achieve it if we are intentional. If you think you are too big or you are elderly, meet a physiotherapist. They will teach you. And exercise is one of the programs we're teaching the women in this forthcoming women program. So, aside the use of diet and hypoglycemic drugs for the diabetic rather, exercise is very key in keeping blood sugar under control. Now, this is what it does. Our body needs insulin to pick up glucose from our blood, the end product of carbohydrates, to take it to where it's needed in the cell. But when the insulin itself is tired or is not in sufficient proportion, if you eat now as a diabetic in your minimal portion, you take a walk around, probably 30 minutes post-eating, post-panga, you walk around. Your muscles can pick up glucose from the blood vessel, from the blood and make use of it directly through a process. So exercise is very, very important for those that are diabetic. Exercise can be very heavy, but it is achievable. Be intentional. Everybody say be intentional. It is not only for the adults. And unfortunately, we mostly think that it's only people that are fat that need exercise. Yoruba people will say, in nutrition, people that are slim, they also have some metabolic disorders, syndromes. If you see I've seen a patient with a lipid profile that is alarming, and her BMI is fantastic. What she has been eating over time. You see, diet is very key. Recently, I think January, I had a client, a patient, that had 19.1 millimole of total cholesterol. That's killing, that's alarming. Just 2 months of dietary adherence. Like what I'm sharing with us is what they pay that we also tell them. Our lipid profile came down sharply to 5. We use diet and basically exercise. So it's very important. Let's key into it and let's do it. Exercise, for example, instead of using the staircase, using the elevators, we can say, oh, I'm going to run the stair. I'm going to the VC's office. Oh, instead of me using the lifts, let me go 4. Let me go 5 today. We keep doing that. We are strengthening our heart, and we are doing fantastically well. We are keeping our head in check. And not instead of taking bike, let's keep walking. It is rolling in the family because we are not running. I pray God will help us in Jesus' name. Now, we have evidence-based strategies to help to manage glycemic spike. It may not benefit everybody here, but I'm open to anybody that really wish to use some evidences that we have gathered, researches, studies have shown that are helping to manage sugar. Now, I want to mention just one of them. Applying the 3 o'clock meal portioning. Applying the 3 o'clock meal portioning. Now, let's imagine in our hearts, everybody, that it's 3 o'clock. Let's imagine it's 3 o'clock. The long hand is on 12, and the small hand is on 3. It looks like this. Now, that portion that we carved out, that is 3 o'clock, should be the size of our carbohydrate food. The 6 o'clock, the remaining parts should be the size of our protein, but it's unfortunate in this side of the world, we eat little protein. We just eat small fish. We cut our fish like SIM cards. So, let's eat appropriately. And also, the other portion that is large is for vegetables. That's the way we all ought to eat, but because of issues that are happening to diabetic, we put eye on that. I'm wrapping up already. In conclusion, everybody, nutrition is individualized. Moderation is key to human health and wellness. Even if you want to be eating carrots, be moderated. If you want to drink garri, be moderated. And also, self-discipline is important. If you are not comfortable with what you look like, self-discipline is important. And also, proper use of diet can prevent and cure diseases. I hope we have values for our time this morning. Thank you very much.
We can stand up on our feet. And you can clasp better. Clap is part of the exercise. It's in the Bible. The Bible says, oh, clap. Clap your hands.